Mega Rising has been out for about 2 weeks. I have been a student of the game. I have been practicing. I have been testing so many decks and matchups, and I am going to give you the most accurate top player tier list in my opinion. Yo, what is going on? We are back here for another video. It is going to be tier list swap season, as we've done a bunch of deck profiles. I think it's time take all the decks, rank them, and just basically give us like a visual representation of what I believe the meta is in my opinion. Anyways, looking at the list, we do have stuff like top tier, high tier, mid tier, low tier, and that rogues. The reason I put rogue always on my tier list is because I do come from a Yu-Gi-Oh background and they usually have rogue in their tier list. So yeah, I low-key like rogue and low tier. I feel like it'd be like the same thing with Pokemon Pocket, but that's like besides the point. Anyways, I think it's time to get into the list. I think first off, we're gonna just start with obviously the 2 top tier decks that I do want to say, as that is going to shape the whole tier list, because depending on how good your deck does into these top tier decks, you know, it's going to depend if you're a high tier, a mid tier, or a low tier deck. So let's jump straight into it. First one I'm going to pick, bro, I'm going to be honest. So this is going to be the classic tried and true Suicune with the Giratina, the double crit ninja, and now with the new addition of the 1 crit ninja EX. This deck, I'm going to be honest, it's not the most dominant deck. Don't get me wrong, other decks can't beat it. There are like more decks in the meta than compared to like, you know, Secluded Springs. However, a Suicune player who draws every single thing they need as they draw their whole deck with the power of Suicune is almost unbeatable. This deck is just a deck because it has the draw power, the bench power, the high damage power, plus the tank power, and like the swap ability now of Crit Ninja EX. The deck has literally everything, single thing that a meta Pokemon Pocket deck has. And I'm not saying that it is like it leagues above bro the other deck, but I'm generally saying like this is just a deck that does not lose, like if you just draw perfectly. And obviously there are some decks you can say like, oh, GAZR doesn't lose if you draw perfectly. Like, no, like it could lose to Oricorio and stuff, and but like this deck just generally has no weaknesses, essentially is what I'm trying to say, besides like, you know, maybe a Froakie lead here and there, or like a Giratina star, which isn't even that bad. So I still think Suicune is the best deck in my personal opinion. I know some people might say it's Absolute Ori, which does move on to the next top tier deck. So Absolute Ori is just one of the best decks. It's actually personally my favorite one. I wanted Absolute to be good. I asked for it in multiple videos before it actually got released, because there was like a very similar one in the actual TCG, as well as when I first initially read it. I did think it was strong. I didn't know exactly how to pair the card, which is what I thought the weakness of the deck was going to be. However, Pichu Ori is kind of like the new Savali in today's standards. A lot of decks just be throwing a Pichu Ori combo and calling it a day. Yeah, this deck is just very control based. You know, you have the obviously the Oricorio to force your opponent to play around that fact. You also have the Absolute that is discarded cards, which is extremely powerful in a 20 card deck. Like sometimes if you're like, this is kind of forcing everybody to play double Cyrus, because if the one like Cyrus is taken out of your deck, you could definitely struggle, and you probably will just lose in some situations, or like discarding like a very pivotal card. Like you could like, I don't know, there's just so many plays with the red card. You could like attack them once, they don't have anything you want to discard, red card them in, you know, try to maybe get a Cyrus or something from the red card. Like I just feel like this deck is very skill intensive. Like I feel like it just takes a lot of actual thought sometimes compared to like the average pocket deck. And I just like Mega Absolute a Pokemon, so that's a really nice that ended up being top tier. And yeah, you also have like the Darkrai occasionally for that extra 20 damage, either hitting 100 of Absolute or the 74 Oricorio. This deck is just very control based. It has a lot of stuff going for it. Yeah, it just does pretty good. It's definitely the second best deck, I believe, and I think it's actually the only other top tier deck, which is going to move us into the lower categories. I just wanted to talk about these 2 decks, like I said, because the matchup charts, like decks that are not good into the like both of these decks kind of get cooked, and that's why they're not in that top tier status, even though they may have won a lot of tournaments, which kind of foreshadows the deck I'm going to talk about next, which is going to be the different Altaria variants. So Altaria is a very weird deck. It kind of has like that Gallade factor for me, where the deck is just performing good, but it actually has like a pretty bad matchup into the top 2 decks, being the obviously Oricorio Absolute and the Suicune deck. Don't get me wrong, sometimes you can choose weekends, you know, if the Chingling going into like a Mega Altaria going second, that always is a possibility. Like I don't know, dude, like he's winning tournaments, but in my mind it kind of has a bad matchup into the best 2 decks. But the Indeedee and the Jirachi variant are basically the same. They just have like one less tech option, like they just literally put in a DD. There are some different DD builds for like double Giratina, but the build I'm talking about is just like the one slot in, bro, and like the Jirachi variant. And I think it's a very solid high tier deck. I mean, it's winning a bunch of tournaments, so that obviously shows you how good the deck is. I think it's just very unfortunate that it's just kind of like bad. Like I feel like it beats kind of like everything other than the 2 decks above it. So I really think Altaria is very good. You know, it's just a 100 or not 190, but 210 HP. Is it 190 HP? It is 190 HP, bro. I can literally see right here. Obviously, it's like very zoomed out, but it is 190 HP. So it's 190 HP Arceus. That has just a lot of things. Like Jirachi, extremely good in the deck. Chingling is also very annoying to play around sometimes. You have the Sable Eye, which is not the best. You also have the other Altaria. They're not the best Oriouts, but like they are Oriouts built into the either typing or the deck. So that is something. I think the 1 DD kind of is getting more favorable because like in like a Chingling war, the DD is kind of more valuable, just so you don't get knocked out first. And or obviously sometimes on Altaria it could be useful against like certain decks. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna play some in high tier. We also have the other variant for Altaria, which is going to be something like a Sylveon package. This one is being played of Espeon. I think for now I'm gonna put it in low tier. Might move it up to mid tier. I just don't think it's that good. I just think the other variants for Altaria are better. I just like you definitely can get away with playing like Espeon. I have seen some builds, you know, perform in tournaments. I also did make a top cut myself, even though it was like a very small tournament. So that like technically, you know, that is something. However, I just think the other variants are better. I think, like I said, bro, maybe this moves in the mid tier as we move along at the tier list, but I just don't really see the value. Like you don't really need the Sylveons when Copycat exists, so it's kind of just taking up 2 deck spaces instead of 1. Like the Espeon aggressive is especially nice if you do combine that with some DDs, but it's just not necessary. You know, I think Chingling and then Jirachi is kind of give more support / utility to be able to play it around the deck, whether that is accessing the bench snipe or something like the item lock. You know what, actually I think I'm gonna actually move it into the rogue category because it's not something that's commonly played anymore. It is not necessarily bad because you do see some here and there getting a top cut. So I'm gonna put it in a rogue just based on the fact that it can perform. It has, but it's just a very uncommon deck. But I still stand by the fact that obviously the other variants are better. However, we are going into the next deck, and I might just go in order by this point. However, we are going to move on to the next deck. I'm actually going to put Rogue above low tier if I'm going to be honest, just because I do think those decks are a little bit better than the low tier deck. So the next deck I want to rate, bro, is going to be the Genetic Apex Charizard. So this deck is just, you know, not the best. It's still slow, it's still reliant on Moltres. There are some like Magby sets, like weird versions that I'm seeing. And like, you know, the thought of being able to one-shot something like Altaria or Absol is cool. But like, you know, they just play Ori anyway, so it forces them to go to like the non-EX Charizard or some Ori out like Torkoal, which is just bad card. So it just has a bunch of things like not really going for it, and nobody really plays it over Blaziken, I want to be honest. Like it's like a funny concept in theory. A lot of people didn't think it was going to come back. They're gonna be wrong. It definitely can cook sometimes. However, it's just very inconsistent because Moltres. So it's gonna be in low tier. It's not bad, but like it's not really worth playing it like as a fire type deck when Blaziken exists right there. The next deck is crazy though, because we're going to be talking about Dark Tina. This is a deck that almost outlasted it probably has outlasted every deck, bro, as a matter of fact, in terms of longevity. I think Suicune is low-key going to be the new Dark Tina of the year 2. I don't think that deck is ever going to die until maybe either year 3, or maybe like not the next big expansion, but the big expansion after that if we do have one, because we should be getting like our Space Time equivalent in a couple months, and then after that we're at the Celestial Guardians of the year 2. Obviously not same name, but you know, different thing. You guys know what I mean. But yeah, so with the addition of Suicune EX, it's not that bad of a matchup for Suicune. I mean, never really was a bad matchup for Suicune. Like it was like 55%, you know, which is obviously Dark Tina favored, but at the end of the day that's not too bad, especially like I said, Suicune opened the nuts where they open the nuts, you can't beat them. And with the addition of Grand EX, I feel like the matchup got better. Oricorio was very relevant, which is very annoying for Darkrai. Giratina, plus like everything just one-shots them, like Blaziken, Altaria with like a damage boosting card. And Hydreigon does exist, so like Giratina is just bad. Plus like, you know, we have Absol. And because all the Megas are just high HP, it's very hard for them to, like, you have to have like a Rocky Helmet Red combo for like an Absol, and that, and like a Darkrai ping as well. And it's just so much setup, dude, be able to one-shot stuff. And then obviously like Blaziken, so you're not one-shotting those guys. So deck is just you know, everything is high HP now and everything just one-shots them. So this deck finally fallen from the top tier status that it has always been in, dude. And we are now seeing a low tier Dark Red Giratina. However, the next deck is not low tier at all. We are going to be talking about Arceus Crobat. Arceus Crobat is funny because a couple people are repping this. The main person was actually Stearns, who I think played this first in a tournament, if I'm not mistaken. Whether pretty sure he was one of the first, at least in tournaments, to at least top cut with the deck. And this deck really takes the fact that one, Crobat is really good against Oricorio, and then two, Arceus, you know, for Pichu and a Crobat does a massive amount of damage. I think this deck is a solid mid-tier deck. It can be inconsistent at times. Like, almost could be that rogue if we do go, like, you know, maybe I move it down. However, I think it's pretty solid, you know. Like, I don't know, like, every time I face against the deck, if they get the nuts, like, I feel like I lose every time. Like, probably against Suicune, it's not that good because, like, it kind of depends on Suicune. Like, maybe you go second round, you get the God Hand, you get the Crobat, boom, you just nuke their active spot. But if you go first and maybe you, like, don't have the Crobat and they just, like, freaking full board, like, double Greninja Cyrus or something, bro, like, or like Giant Cape, you know, that could be annoying. I've been seeing this deck do good. It's been performing here and there. It's not really a common deck, like I said, so that's probably why, like, it doesn't have, like, the most results. But I just wanted to mention it. I think it is that mid tier because it's like the new best, like, Turbo Arceus deck in my opinion. Maybe like the Oricorio one will come back, but I think it's a solid deck at the end of the day. Not going to talk too much about it because it's probably the deck I have the least experience with, so that's why I said it could be in the rogue category potentially later on if we do want to move some stuff down. Next is going to be Decidueye EX, and I am so happy but also sad at the same time. Decidueye is my favorite Pokemon. It's also my favorite card in Pokemon TCG Pocket, and this deck is a solid high tier deck now, where I thought it was kind of middle, so that's like almost at high tier status last time in Secluded Springs. I think the thing that held it back was mainly the, like, Flareon being super relevant, plus like Stokesard picking up at the end. And let me tell you, this deck is probably the only deck that has a winning matchup into both Suicune and Absol-Ori. The reason I'm sad is because Blaziken has finally been solved, and that's back in the meta, which is bad for Decidueye in most situations. This deck, I've been loving it, man. I'm gonna be honest, I literally called out Decidueye was gonna be good. I was using it day 2 against Suicune apps, or not, obviously Suicune, we already knew it was good against Suicune. Although, like, Greninja EX is definitely annoying, and it can make the deck a lot more annoying, plus, like, double cape. But, Mega Absol, we tested that matchup, like, day 2, bro, with my team. Found that the Decidueye wins, which is super sick. Even though, yeah, I just was a Decidueye fan. It's the reason I even made top 1K. It's, like, the only deck I used for the last week of ranked, just because I didn't feel like playing Suicune mirror matches, and, it's my goat, man. Definitely a high tier. Like I said, it beats the top 2 decks. It has some losing matchups. Like, it's not good against Altaria for, like, multiple reasons. One, Chingling, plus, like, yeah, if they get, like, Chingling stall your bread, go into a Mega Absol, boom, like, they blow up your Dartrix. You're not Mega Absol, but Mega Altaria. Blaziken is back, and Magnezone is kind of an annoying matchup. It's not like an auto loss for Decidueye. It really depends. Like, I think Decidueye going second over Candy is fine. It's like that going first, like, if they Chingling, what's the word I'm looking for? If they Chingling, dude, oh my god, stun you, Chingling stun without the item cards. That's when it can be annoying if you, yeah. Anyways, I think that's enough for Decidueye. It's a nice solid deck. The next one we have is going to be Goodra. And Goodra got second place and almost actually won a very big tournament. And I don't want to place it probably in the same situation as, like, the rogue decks. Like, look here, I probably don't need the rogue deck. Like, maybe it, you know what, dude? Nah, I'm going to put it in the mid tier. Because if this deck gets set up, this deck is going to be cooking. Kind of like similar to Arceus Crobat. If you can get the setup, this deck kind of sweet for, like, Goodra. If you get the setup, like the heavy helmet, the lilies, like, it is not getting knocked out, bro, and it's just sweeping. I think it's a really fun deck. It does fall apart, though. Like, you can't lose the double Cyrus Greninja. But against, like, a lot of stuff, like, it's just very tanky, so kind of just depends. So I'm gonna put it in, yeah, I'm gonna put a mid tier, like, maybe, because I don't think it's as, like, it's not as bad as Dartina, bro. Like, Dartina, like, is, like, good against, like, one deck, bro. And, like, I know some people are still playing it here and there, but it's just not good anymore. We're like, I don't know, man, like, I'd rather play Goodra any day. Like, I'll go on win streaks with Goodra, bro. Next is going to be actually Greninja or Ikorio. So this is going to be the what is the word I'm looking for? It is going to be like the Simon Nobi one with the Giratina. And I have seen some people making some top cuts with it and having some deep runs. I just don't think it's too crazy. I'm gonna put it in the row category, to be honest. Obviously, I think it is way better than something like Altaria Sylveon. It's just not a common deck. However, Double Oricorio is broken, Greninja is broken. If the deck actually like draws all the pieces pretty fast, you can just, you know, abuse that factor. So it's still a solid deck. It's just not really representation. I think if I had more representation and more like results overall, I could definitely see it being in that mid tier. But I think because it doesn't have like too much, I'm going to put it personally in the row category. Next up, we have the Double Greninja EX Suicune list, and I think they're a solid mid tier. Now I'm going to say solid high tier, bro, and it's mainly the fact that like you're just like playing 1/1 Greninja in it, like obviously the non-EX version. But at the end of the day, it's still a Suicune deck. This version usually doesn't run Giratina. It has like different matchups, but at the end of the day, it's still Suicune, bro. So I'm just gonna put it in high tier based on that fact that it's just like a different variant of Suicune. I still think the non-EX Greninja is overall a better card, but the Greninja has applications like this. Like for example, this can make a better end of Blaziken, as Blaziken won't be able to one-shot you. And yeah, I think that's all. The next one is also gonna be Guz, which I think Guz Nagano is generally a good deck. The only problem is bad in the Suicune, bro. I actually think it's decent in the Blaziken. I think it's good into Absol Ori, and I think it can be. I think it's also good. Yeah, I think it's also good into Altaria, man. Like I think the deck is good. I think it just has a very bad weakness of just being bad to Suicune, and Suicune is like one of the most represented decks, so that's like something very bad going for it. And it's not played too much, but I don't know, bro. Like, is that one matchup? I just feel like it's so bad sometimes. So I'm just gonna put it in this one. With the access of man like Copycat, you can get Nagano out more consistently, which I like, as I'm a huge Nagano fan. And with Magnezone coming back in the meta, this deck has always been getting the Magnezone Ori, so that's also something to note. And yeah, I just think it's a good deck, man. Like, I just don't think it's anything crazy, and it just doesn't have like the most representation. Next up we have Hitmonchan and Rampardos, and right away I'm just gonna put this in Rogue because it's not represented. It just make a top cut. I almost want to put it in low tier, bro, to be honest. I'm almost debating on putting it in low tier. It made top cut. It's just a Rampardos deck due to him only like double Copycat. It's like literally nothing crazy. Like you start swinging for 50, you get the Rampardos online. I'm gonna actually just put it low tier, bro. I'm gonna be so real because I just don't believe in the deck. I just don't think Hitmonchan is that good. I think Rampardos. I think you could just play Savali Rampardos. Like I don't see a reason you play Hitmonlee or like Hitmonchan over this. That's just my personal opinion. Next up we have Jolteon. So Jolteon is a very weird one where Jolteon, like I had a bunch of results at the beginning of the season, and I feel like I haven't really seen it in a minute. But it's like weird because like going first and you get the Jolteon buff, like a Zera E-Switch package is absolutely broken. But like, what if you just don't have that set up, bro, and you go like first, no Jolteon, and then it just follows like the deck is not that good. But it has results, bro. Like, let me hold up, bro. Like, I need to go like check some tournaments or something to see if any Jolteons are doing good. Okay, I just did some fact checking. I looked at like 4 like 200 plus person tournaments, and I also looked at the Pocket Mads tournament, and Jolteon has not made a top cut in a minute, dude. I wanted to just check, bro, because I have a personal bias. I don't think this deck is actually good, bro. It's probably better than Hitmonchan and Rampardos. It's better than all the decks of, like, I'm trying to rank this as much in order as possible, by the way. I always thought Jolteon, like every other electric deck, was kind of low tier, besides some of the new ones, dude. I just don't think it's anything crazy. I think if you have the God combo, bro, like I said, the Zera E-Switch Jolteon, like the 4-card combo, like it's a pretty good deck, dude. But I feel like without that, I don't know, dude. It's just not doing anything for me. Like, I feel like if you don't start Jolteon, the deck just instantly falls apart, in my personal opinion. I wanted to put it low tier, dude. I'm gonna put that, like I said, in my opinion. Like, I don't know what this thing beats. I don't know why you'd play this over any other electric deck, in my opinion. Speaking about some electric decks, we do have the next one, which is going to be that Luxray Oricorio. I think this is a solid mid-tier deck. I will probably put it at the top of the mid-tier for now. This deck is running the Bench Snipe one and the 110 one. And this deck, you know, it can just output a high amount of damage. It has Oricorio as well. I just think this is probably like the second best electric deck, I will say, in my personal opinion. I think it is decent, and I think that it is, I don't know, and I think it has the flexibility where like you have that bench sniping, which gives it that little more oomph, or dude. I don't know why I said oomph, bro, what the hell, but it gives it that little bit more playability around like certain situations that lesser types usually don't have, because usually lesser types you just attack active, attack active, attack active. So I personally like the Luxray version way more than the Jolteon. Next up we have Magnezone. I feel like a Magnezone is meta. For the most part the meta is going to be good, especially for a full set. So I fully welcome Magnezone back, and I will say this deck is doing pretty good. It does good into Decidueye, it does good into Suicune under certain circumstances. Don't get me wrong, Suicune seems sometimes just Cyrus, the Magneton, and boom, and you will lose, bro. But it can do good at that. Has like an even matchup, I would say, in the Absol Ori, just because they do have to play around those Oricorios, which are annoying for them. Plus Magnezone can just, you know, 2-tap a Absol Mega. So I'm going to put this in the bottom. Low-key, bro, this is probably better than the Double Greninja Suicune. So I'm going to put it in high tier because this deck has just been popping off recently. And I think it is very, I think it's very strong, bro. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you do break on the Magnetons and you will lose, but that is always how Magnezone has ran. Like, I just think it's better than all the decks in the mid tier, which is why I kind of have to just put it in the high tier in my personal opinion. I think we can move on. This is going to be Absol Darkrai, and I think this is actually just a duplicate of the Oricorio version. I don't know what the version with Darkrai would play, so we're just gonna actually skip that. But the next version is going to be that Hydreigon variant, and this Absol variant, bro, is extremely powerful because Hydreigon is just a better Rampardos. It has more consistency. It does less damage to itself when you do charge it up. And it is going to be hitting for that dark type, which does one-shot something like a Giratina. Well, like, Rampardos could one-shot on Arceus, but besides Arceus, there's not any like real meta-relevant regular types out there. So I think this Absol Absol Hydreigon has been on a rise. I will say though that my teammate in the GGB Styler actually ended up discovering like the best Hydreigon build on day 2 that we were keeping secret. Looks like everybody caught on with the double copycat strat and like a couple more techs that we were playing. So I do want to give, you know, I just want to shout out Styler for actually using this deck, and like we definitely believed in it after he destroyed us in testing. So that is definitely cool, and the deck is fun. I do think it's actually probably Decidueye. I don't know, it's probably like the same area as Decidueye. I think I might put Decidueye a little bit higher just because Decidueye does have the better matchup at like the top 2. Where like sometimes, don't get me wrong, like a Suicune can beat them. Has a good matchup into Absol Ori though, so that is something to note. And yeah, it's just a good deck. Next up is going to be that Ampharos Oricorio. And I'm going to be honest, I think this version is low tier. I don't think it's that good. We're like just like the Zera Oricorio Ampharos version. However, I think this version is way better. I do think it is rogue. It is having some top cuts. I'm not going to put it in that mid-tier level because it's only like one strong soldier. I feel like a tournament where like sometimes, you know, Guz just made a top 8, dude. So I think Ampharos, I think some people are cooking this like a Pichu Cleffa. I think Oricorio is still played. I think it might just be one copy. Maybe it is 2. But it doesn't have like the Zeras or anything, which I like. I think Zera is not that good of a card right now. And yeah, it's making some top cuts. I'm going to respect it. I won't put it in low tier like the other version. And Ampharos is in a weird state because it's not really that good, but apparently maybe it's just slept on. It actually generally might be like a slept on card because it's 100 plus like the 60 damage to the bench scattered around, and it's like bad in the other megas, but maybe it's good against like every other deck that's not a mega or like not super high HP. So I don't know. I really haven't tested it myself, and it's making some top cuts like now than it did in the first week, so I'm not really too sure. But I don't think it's at that mid-tier level yet. Alright, the next one is going to be Blaziken Cleffa, and I'm going to be real, this is the worst version of Cleffa or Blaziken to play. Cleffa actually provides no use when you do have double copycat. And in Blaziken, you want ways to attack that is not just a solo Blaziken. A solo Blaziken, because it is a 3-pointer, is just not good. And that is also why I will put Blaziken Entei in mid-tier. I don't think it's the best version of Blaziken by any means, because we will just probably get into that after talking about this one. But Entei just sucks, let's be honest. Is a 2 energy, so going first kind of sucks if it. 2 tree cost also, so you have to have like double flame badge if you want to swap out. It's just not the best card, dude, and the 60 damage is not that high, but it is an attacker. It does draw the deck, so you can draw the pieces, so I still think it's a mid-tier deck at the end of the day because Blaziken is strong, and it is actually an attacker unlike Cleffa. We do have the Heatmore variant, which is represented by this Heatmore, and I think this deck is absolutely cooking. I really like Heatmore. I tried it myself. It really reminds me of Gallade Hitmonlee, which was a deck I really enjoyed at the beginning of Shining before the Dark Rat Giratina players ended up flooding the lobbies and learn the matchup. But the bench damage is really nice. You know, Humor can do 30 damage to a baby Pokemon, so that's a way to get another KO in the matchup. You know, if Cyrus Blaziken, that is going to be end up 170 damage, which will one-shot an Absol in case they don't have a PC or a Cape. Or, you know, there's any other Pokemon. It's really good in the Decidueye. It has a weird matchup in the Altaria. Apparently, it can beat the Magnezone matchup. And, you know, Blaziken can do really good into the Suicune matchup as long as they don't have something like a Giant Cape or a Greninja EX to 2-tap you. It's just a very solid and very strong deck, and it solved Blaziken. I'm going to respect it. I'm going to put it in high tier. Because, like I said, before this, I never really thought highly of any Blaziken deck. And now I do. Next up, we have one of the ones that hurts the most, bro. We have Gyarados. And Gyarados is actually a pretty good card, but there's two problems with Gyarados. One, there's really not a good second attacker. Like, we need a good basic that does 70 damage. That is 2 energy, man. That is just 2 energy for water types. You could technically play Kamala, man, now that I'm thinking about it. But, like, still, like, you want something that synergizes, bro. Maybe, you know, to be able to Misty Flip. Or just, you know, something, man. But Mega Blaziken discard 4. It's just a lot of energy, man. And Mantike and Gyarados actually don't have synergy because Mantike, you can't evolve Gyarados. Gyarados wants to evolve in a meta where Heatmore and Jirachi is meta relevant. You plus, you know, just Greninjas. Because you want to evolve just to be safe on the Magikarp. But you can't do that, you know, if you are using Mantike. Where Manaphy is actually better in Mantike in this specific deck. So that is something to note. And it does suck that it's just so many Vent Snipers, right? Because I think Mega Gyarados is a very fun deck. I'm gonna have to put it in low tier. It actually generally might be it's low-key might be the worst deck, bro. Low-key might be the worst deck. I think Dark Rat Giratina actually has better results than it, which is kind of sad. And maybe just Gyarados isn't solved yet, or like with more support it can come back. Besides that, dude, we have like Pinsir Leafeon. For Pinsir Leafeon, I'm gonna put what the hell happened here, bro? I think I just might have misclicked on the keyboard. But I'm gonna put it low tier because I just think the other version, which is the Oricorio version, is pretty decent. It has some results. I just think, yeah, I just think it's better. I think Leafeon is just, you know, relying too much on an Eevee Leafeon combo where like you have like the Pichu Oricorio, and Oricorio is really good in the format. And it's like a way to stall, you know, to be able to set up the Pinsir by itself as well. I think it's a very solid deck. I just don't think it has the consistency that is going to be low-key. This deck should low-key just be low tier, I'm gonna be real. But yeah, it just doesn't have that consistency that you really want because it is the coin flips. So I'm just gonna put it in rogue for now. As well, so I'm gonna put this as a nice mid-tier deck. I think this deck is nice. I think it, you know, does pretty decent in the format. It's just Savali at the end of the day. Some people play double Oricorio, some people play one. Like some people play double Oricorio, no Zeras. I kind of just like the Zera plus Savali. I don't really like the Oricorio in this deck just because I always go first and start it, which gives me a very bad lead. So that's like my personal opinion. This version is like the exact same thing, by the way, as the like the thing. This like version has Greninja EX, so I'm not gonna place this down on the tier list either. Kind of like this one has like the same thing. I mean, I guess I could just technically place them. I mean, it's like the same thing, so sure. But I don't really need to. For the last deck, we have Golem. So Golem is literally just a better Goodra. You have Brock, so like the 4th energy is really a 4th extra energy. You have more HP. It does better in the stuff like Magnezone. You take less damage. You have higher HP. Yeah, it's just basically the same thing. It's a little bit more consistent because you don't have the dual energy. And yeah, dude, I think that does it for the tier list. I'm not gonna cap. I'm not gonna lie. I don't see a single change I want to make. Usually with these tier lists, I always have something that I dislike. Like, I think this is accurate. I think this is actually a diverse meta, even though I hate Suicune. I think Suicune is absolutely broken and should get nerfed or something. Like, you ban, bro. Get rid of Greninja. I like this meta. This meta is very fun. I can't wait till ranked, because when we get ranked, I'm going to be grinding hard. Hopefully, I hit that top 1,000, because I know it's going to be a very short week of rank. I think it's only like a 2 to 3 week rank season, if I'm not mistaken, or like 2.5 weeks, which is, you know, yeah, in between. But yeah, let me know any differences in the comments. I feel like some people are gonna have some things. I feel like Jolteon might be the main one, dude. Like the stuff in low tier, I feel like is the most debatable stuff. But I just don't believe in any of those decks, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I think there's a decks that can top cut, but they're not the best decks of the best. Anyways, that is all for me. I'm gonna dip out. Y'all have a lovely day as always. I realized I forgot to add this in the intro, but I want to give a special shout out to Fray, who ended up making the images for the tier list. Without them, this would not be possible, as I cannot find another one. So I just did want to mention that they are the one who helped me get the images for this tier list. And if you are a part of the Brick City Discord server, I will be posting the link to the maker there. So any other content creator or any other player that wants to make one will have access to it.